Okay, welcome to the latest Democracy 4 video blog. The reason I'm smiling about it is because this is likely to be a complete catastrophe because I bought a new computer after 5 years. I finally upgraded my PC, so I've had to reinstall everything, and as everyone knows who's bought a new PC, getting everything to work the way it used to is a pain, to put it mildly. So I think everything works. I think this record and encode okay and all the rest of it, but anyway, who knows? Anyway, inside baseball, who cares? So Democracy 4, we're coming out of early access in January. We'll still work on the game, we'll still update the game, blah blah blah, but you need that point where you kind of say, yeah, this is okay to be sold for people who don't want to play early access games. So we're going to be doing that. If you've been watching recent videos, you'd know that a lot of the attention recently, and this will change, a lot of the attention recently has been on mod support. I'm really into mod support in games. So if I go in here, I'll show you what's changed recently. I've got like a little test mod I'm fiddling about with here just for the purposes of this. And we've talked about how you create a mod here. So I'm going to edit the content of this mod. And I thought I'd add a new country because this is new. So the latest version has this extra tab up here. You can add a new country to your mod. Now when I say you can add a new country to your mod, obviously most mods have a single focus. So that'd be, we've added Bavaria or whatever. It's not a country, but you know what I mean. But you might add a country and then some policies and situations to go with that country and stitch them all in. But until now you've had to edit files to create a country. Now this is not completely finished, but by any stretch, but it avoids you having to edit files. So you type in the name of your country there, and I will add tooltips eventually that show you what these have to be called, because you have to have a JPEG file for the flag and an SVG, which is a vector graphics Inkscape file for the map, that have to have a certain name based on what you put here. So anyway, you put in whatever, and this is the lovely country of New England. As someone who lives in England, it's funny that there is a place called New England, and some of the places you have are quite funny because you have Pennsylvania. I don't even know where that is, but I know where it is here. It's near Bristol. And you have New York, just another York. It's weird. Anyway, so head of state. This is something that gets referenced through the game. So they'll sort of say, you know, there'll be a reference in there saying you have been newly elected as of New England. So we can put in Supreme Leader, which is the most ridiculous title. Currency, there's some problems with stuff, but you can type in dollars. I'll fix it. Now all of this stuff needs tooltips, and I know that. So if we say $150,000, what that means is the overwhelming proportion of the population earn between $0 and $150,000. The top 0.1% or 1% we don't really care about, maybe the top 1%. This is the exchange rate to pounds, which is needed internally. So I'm just going to put 1. New England uses the dollar, but it's pegged to the pound. And debt will be in whatever currency you have, say 500 million. So if we do max GDP as 2 trillion, so that's 1, 2, 3, that's 1,000, that's a million, that's a billion, 200 billion, trillion. I think it might be, anyway, I'm going to add tooltips for all this stuff. It's complete nonsense, right? So this has to be between 1 and 5. The population, I think, is the actual population, but it doesn't matter, whatever. Now the ID is where it appears in the list. So if you put it as number 1, it'll be the first country you see when you have the list of countries that you can play. If you put it as 22, it'll be behind 21. If they're the same, it'll probably do it alphabetically. So you can put that to like a high number to check it's at the end. It doesn't have to be the exact number, they're just listed. Apathy is the extent to which people don't bother voting. Now the actual turnout will depend partly on apathy and partly on a lot of other things in the game. There's about 10 different factors that get calculated to work out whether or not you'll vote. But there's also this level of apathy. So I'm going to put 0.45 to say everything else being equal, 45% of people won't bother voting, which is outrageous. But anyway, whatever. Minimum GDP. It's not verifying any of these numbers yet. I'm going to make this much better, right? And wealth is kind of like a scalar against the UK. I will put in proper like tooltips that will flash up and sort of go, how is wealth used in the game? What do you set to? Minor parties determines whether or not you get protest votes. This is a new feature that went in recently, that you have protest votes. If you're winning overwhelmingly, some of your voters go, hey, it's going to win, I'm going to vote for the Give Me Free Biscuits party. And this determines whether or not you have that. Because you don't really have it in the US. No one votes for a party that isn't Democrat, or you have like the Libertarian candidate or whatever. No one votes for them. Whereas obviously in Germany, 1,000 parties. So you can kind of tick that. If I save that, it will save a file out. I'm just going to check it actually worked in another secret window that I've got open somewhere. So it's hidden so well I can't find it. Yeah, that worked perfectly. Okay, so then you've got all these tabs, right? So that's the basic config of a country. If we go to stats, this is the stuff that you see on the screen when you select it. So, and they're meant to be interesting and to give you like a flavour of the country, but they don't matter. So say 500,000 donuts are consumed in New England each day. You can add loads of those if you want. Policies. So these policies here, they're always set to the default, which is 0.5. These are policies that you have to have a stance on. They are uncancelable. So every country has to have a stance on, press freedom, for example. We'll just edit that and go much less press freedom, please. Because these things tend to be on a scale, like competition law. Every country has an opinion on competition law, whether or not you favour small companies or large companies, whatever. So these are the things that really you should go through if you're adding a country and go, in the country of, Yugoslavia. Well, that's not a country anymore. Slovenia. I know that's not the same place. You need to settle these accordingly. But you can add new ones if you add new ones if you start typing. So there's lots of bans, aren't they? Let's say we moderately ban divorce in New England, whatever, and it'll get added to the end. Did that go in right? Okay, is it in right now? Anyway, you can add loads and loads and loads of policies. I'm going to save them just in case. Overrides is a thing. So if you know of an effect in the game, like for example the effect that business confidence has on GDP, you might say, well, in our country we find that it is a much weaker effect. So I will change that, and what the game will do is when it loads your country, when it gets to that effect, it will go, no, this has been overridden. You can delete effects and you can add new effects, so you could just add a completely new one. I happen to know there is a link between business confidence and GDP in the game. You could add a new one. Save. Anyway, all of this is utter incomprehensible nonsense to most people who will look at it and go, oh God, making a country is complex, Cliff. It will get better. This is the very first go at it, because I want the average player of Democracy 4 to be able to think, well, I'm from the Philippines and the Philippines isn't in the game and that's annoying, and I'm really into politics, and I reckon I could add a mod, and without leaving the game they should be able to do that. There's a lot of work involved for me in doing that, but that's my plan. So I've saved all this, right? It probably won't show up yet due to various nonsense by me. I've added loads of countries from other people. What was it? What did? Wow, I've added a load of countries. These are all countries that are from mods, just out of curiosity. Anyway, there's New England. Look, donut consumption, and we've adjusted the link between business confidence and GDP, and we could play it. It would be a complete car crash, because one of the things you notice when you first create a country is unless you explicitly add them, there's no tax. so your whole country is a complete disaster. Because you have huge debt and problems and all the rest of it. Anyway, that is the basics, right, of how you add a country. Now you can see from this that people have added everything. It's great. I love this. I love this so much that people have gone into all this detail. And they've done this when it's actually really annoying to do. So I'm hoping that when I finish this stuff, okay, whatever. When I finish this stuff, we'll get loads of really good quality ones, because loads of people will be interested in doing it, and then people who do it and then they sort of think, oh, actually I need to adjust some numbers in that, they won't go and have to open a load of files in order to fiddle with it. So it'll be really easy. So we'll just go back in. No, don't submit this, Cliff. Where are we? Country. So yeah, it's all in here and you can all edit it and the rest of it. Now there are two things that aren't in there yet. One is names and the other is minister groups. In the game you see pictures of ministers. I will illustrate. There's no. I haven't got room to put them in yet, but I will make room. I will show you what I mean. I think if I can launch a normal game, but it's a bit lucky dip, really. Is that the normal one? It's probably the normal one. This might crash. Ah, typical. I don't know what's going on there. Let me load it again. It's probably some hideous bug that is all my fault. Oh my god, it's still like this. What's this? Can I just do this? Can I just play the UK? Oh, right. I'm going to have to get rid of these mods. Oh, I know why. I know why. Oh dear. Yeah, this is because I've just like reinstalled everything, right? And basically, I've got a load of mods in here, and maybe some of them conflict, or they've got problems, and I don't know which one off the top of my head. I need a better scroll bar for this, don't I? Really, I'm just going to turn them all off. Apologies if you see your mod scrolling by with the developer of the game going, nah, turning that off. This is just to get the game to reliably load. This is one of the problems actually with supporting mods. You can get a reputation for your game crashing very easily when it's actually fine. I'm going to even turn my mods off, sod it. When it's actually fine and it's just mods. Oh, here we go, back to normal. Hopefully this will work. Be embarrassing if it doesn't. Yay. Yeah, so the two things that I haven't put in yet that I need to do, I'll shut up in a minute, is minister groups and names. So if we go into ministers, oh, that's not ministers. What are you doing? Okay, so if we go into ministers, obviously they've got names. Here we go. Here we are. Here's the names. Gabriel Lopez, Dustin Gray. There's a lot of, actually there's a lot of what I would say is not typical. What did I pick? United States, didn't I? Ironically. Yeah, Paul Jones, Gabriel Collins, Luke Harris. Yeah, whatever. I mean, this is actually based on the most popular names in the US. So all of these names are like US names. If we go into Germany, and they'll have German names, etc. You need to set that for your country, and I haven't done the user interface for doing it yet. And the other thing is, look at these people. Okay, these are Western people. Okay, you may have you know, some immigrants, but if I told you this is China, you go, no, it's not. So we have a different load of artwork. We have like the Southeast Asian, I think we call it, minister's artwork. And I need a little drop down list so you can select Western or Asian ministers. It doesn't change all of these people who are supposed to be kind of global anyway. You see what I mean? They're supposed to be representative of like the whole world anyway, randomly, which is really difficult to do. But it will change the ministers, because it's really obvious if you go, let's have a look at the cabinet here in Japan. And it's clearly not. Anyway, so I'll be doing that. What I'm getting at is editing of countries is in. It's not finished. It's a bit flaky, but it's in there and it works, and that's roughly what it looks like. And more of that will come. We're getting a Japanese translation soon, some other little bug fixes and stuff like that. And we're heading towards early access, and then we can add some new like post-release stuff. Anyway, this is Democracy 4. If this doesn't record, it'll drive me nuts. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!